Dr.
call the
Williamson?
roll.
Sorry, Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Majors? Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. The next item is a moment of silence to be led by our board vice president.
Thank you. As we begin this meeting, let us pause for a 60-second moment of silence to reflect, meditate, pray, or engage in any other silent activity. Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance to be led by Reagan Schrum, a fourth grade student in Mr. Weingartner's class at Vandiver Elementary School.
Please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
now for Oklahoma flag. Now is for the Tiger Creek. Will you please do it with me? I am a tiger. I am tenacious in pursuit of my goals. I act with integrity and show gratitude in my daily life. I have high expectations for myself and others, and I show respect through my actions and words. I am a tiger.
Ms. Reagan, I would love it if you would tell us a little bit about, you're in Mr. Weingartner's class, correct? Could you tell me a couple of things that you love about his class?
I like the Motivational Monday, and I like how he brings kids from other classes to do challenging math.
Challenge math, you usually win.
After lunch you do it, and it's really hard sometimes.
It's hard for me too, because after I eat, my brain is done. Well, we sure appreciate you being here today. Would you like to invite your parents up and introduce them?
This is my mom. Her name is Chandra.
Very good.
This is my dad. His name is Keita.
Very good. Well, thank you so much. We're going to go over here and take a picture, if that's okay.
The next item on the agenda is the formal adoption of the agenda. I would entertain a motion.
Recommend approval.
Second.
We have a motion and second to formally adopt the agenda. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson? Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. The next item on the agenda are the minutes of the December 12th, 2016 regular board meeting. I would,
One moment,
Here
Miss
we
Kelly,
go.
waiting on vote.
oh, okay,
Oh, here we
sorry
go.
about that.
All right, go ahead.
Thank you. So we are on the December 12th, 2016 regular board meeting minutes. I would entertain a motion unless you have questions.
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the December 12th, 2016 regular board meeting minutes. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. The next item has to do with the January 3rd special board meeting minutes. I would entertain any questions that you might have, and if not, entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the January 3rd, 2017 special board meeting minutes. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Abstain.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. The next item is under the summary of awards and achievements. Mr. or Miss J. Grisham. Okay. Jan, I apologize. Because I apologize to you. I should know better. Thank you.
Good evening. I have the honor tonight of presenting an award to Janet Dotson, principal at Leisure Park Elementary. Ms. Dotson was one of 16 principals across the 6-state region to be recognized for her leadership in literacy at the 2016 Billy J. Askew Reading Recovery Institute this past November. Reading recovery in Broken Arrow Public Schools is supported by Texas Women's University, and there are more than 250 schools represented within that consortium. And we were asked to name the principals that supported literacy and supported reading recovery. And Ms. Dotson was named as a principal for Broken Arrow Public Schools because of her passion for literacy and her commitment to ensuring that every child learns to read and write in first grade. So I would like to present to Ms. Janet Dotson this Certificate of Appreciation from Texas Women's University for her support of reading recovery and literacy. And I believe that Ms. Dotson's parents are here, and her daughter and husband.
You can tell this, and thank you, media, for coming.
So we would like for them to come up and stand and be recognized with Ms. Dotson.
Yes, okay, that's my dad in the back me hand. Wave, Daddy. And that's my mom, Judy. And then that's my husband, Tim.
And I think this coming up here might be a daughter.
This coming up here with me.
Yes.
She came to take a picture. Yeah, come right here.
Yeah.
Baby. And then that's my oldest son, Andrew, in the blue. And David's my middle. He hates being called that sorry son. And this is Ariel, my youngest. And then all of my Leisure Park family
Yes.
is here. Stand up. I love them so much. This was such a long day at Leisure Park. I don't know if it was like that at every elementary. And they came back after such a long day. And that just, I'm about to cry, guys. That was very sweet. Family has to come, but you guys, thank you. Thank you.
Ms. Dodson, I would like to thank you on behalf of the board. Certainly it takes a lot of commitment to do the reading recovery, and it's no accident that you have a lot of passion about it. And certainly I know your staff members do too, because they join you in that effort as well. So I want to commend you for that and commend your staff at Leisure Park. Thank you.
Ms. Dotson, I want to say congratulations as well. I must say I'm not surprised, just because I've seen your leadership while I've been on the board, and amazing. You just personify everything we want here in Broken Arrow from a school board standpoint, and congratulations.
Thank you. Turn it on. Yeah.
Ms. Dotson, you can't sit down yet. You know, I've been here from the beginning when we first started Reading Recovery, and I'm trying not to cry because this is why we do what we do. Because what we know is that Reading Recovery changes kids' lives. And it doesn't just change their lives, but it changes their family and generations to come. So your dedication is bar none what we're talking about. And we have principals all around the room that are fully dedicated to this program and making sure that our students learn to read and that we meet that goal of 100% literacy. So hats off to you. Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is employment. Dr. Dunlop.
Thank you, President Kelly and members of the board. What I bring to you tonight is an informational item, but it will be voted through the consent agenda as far as the changes in staffing. As we know, we have transitions that happen in any organization, and when you have really talented people, what happens is they are often approached with additional opportunities. So the recent transitions that we have experienced in Broken Arrow schools have really given us an opportunity to restructure and look for ways to be more efficient. The process has led, as we have gone through the restructuring, it has led to a net savings of over $250,000 in salaries by absorbing 3 executive director positions. These savings will be recognized after June 30th. So I want to repeat that, $250,000, and these are administrator salaries. So as we continued the rest of this year, and especially the current cut in our midterm allocations of approximately $444,000 just for Broken Arrow alone, we've got projected additional cuts for the upcoming fiscal year. Our hopes are to funnel these savings back into our budget and ease some of the impact of these cuts, or to be used ideally in ways that really impact student learning. So now I am pleased to share our new leadership structure. Broken Arrow we're wise in the way we structure our leadership, and because of that, we're really poised with purposeful succession. A purposeful succession plan that allows for leadership development, and in this way our principals and our executive directors are ready to take leadership roles at any point. So using this succession plan, we're pleased to introduce our newly restructured leadership team. The team is now divided basically into 2 sections. We have instructional leadership and we have business leadership. It's kind of 2 sides of the house. Instructional leadership is defined by the title of assistant or associate superintendent. So that's how you can tell which side of the house they lie upon. And then the business leadership is defined by the title of chief. So I'm going to go through the changes, and what we'll do is at the very end I'll introduce the entire leadership team, and we'll have an opportunity for applause and to introduce guests at the end. So the first change, starting with the instructional leadership team, since this really is our primary focus as a school district, is student learning. Number 1, Ms. Carla Dias. She's formerly our Executive Director of Elementary Education. She is now the Assistant Superintendent of Elementary Education. Number 2, and this was a position formerly held by me, so that's really weird and awkward, but it is what it is. Secondly, Ms. Margaret Coates. She was formerly the BAPS principal. She is now the Assistant Superintendent of Secondary Education. And this was a position formerly held by the Executive Director of Student Programs. So with this rearrangement, we absorbed 1 Executive Director position. That was Ms. Dias' position. So now on the business side of the house, these are identified as chief officers. These leaders provide support for our schools, and we could not function without them. There is no way. I'll start with Ms. Lori Tiger. She was formerly the Executive Director of HR. This was a change that was in place all along. We knew that Mr. Fager was getting ready to retire, so we went ahead and put into place a succession plan so that we wouldn't miss a beat. She is now the Chief Human Resources Officer. Ms. Natalie Enoff. She is formerly the Executive Director of Finance. She is now our CFO. This is a position formerly held by Dwayne Thompson, who resigned to pursue other opportunities, but will continue to serve as a consultant with Ms. Enoff until June 30th, and we appreciate his help as we make that transition. Number 3, Amanda Summers. She was formerly the Executive Director of Special Projects. She will now be the Chief Communications Officer. This was formerly held by, which is awkward because you're sitting right here, but formerly held by Shelley Holland Handy, who has resigned to restart her PR firm with her husband, Bill Handy. And then finally, our Chief Technology Officer. This has been posted and we'll begin interviews very soon. We've had huge interest, a lot of applications. This was formerly held by Brian Daly, who has accepted a position with Blue Valley School District in Overland Park, Kansas. Mr. Daly and his wife are from Kansas and they really look forward to the opportunity to move closer to family, and especially with their two young children. They have 3 children, but 2 are really young. So with that, in summary, we absorbed 2 executive directors positions through that. One was special projects, one was HR. So through working more efficiently and really looking at workflow, we were able to, in total, absorb 3 executive director positions. And again, savings of over $250,000. So now I'm going to introduce the new leadership team, and I'd like for you to stand as I introduce you. And also, if you have guests, please introduce them tonight. Number 1, and my absolute right hand, couldn't do it without him, Mr. Chuck Perry is the Associate Superintendent. Next, Ms. Carla Dias as the Assistant Superintendent of Elementary Education. Next, Ms. Margaret Coates as the Assistant Superintendent of Secondary Education. And I think she has a guest. Would you like to introduce your guest? And next, Ms. Michelle Bergwall is our Chief Operating Officer. Operations, sorry. And Natalie Eniff as our CFO. And Ms. Eniff, I believe your husband is here?
My husband is here as well as my mom.
Oh, yay. Very good. Ms. Amanda Summers as our Chief Communications Officer. And Ms. Lori Tiger as our Chief Human Resources Officer. I truly, I couldn't be more honored than to lead this team. You know, the beauty of being in Broken Arrow, and we know this as we look around the room, it's not just in our leadership team here in the service center, but as we look at the leadership in our sites. I had the opportunity to be at the state for a while. I don't know if you knew that. But while I was there, what I recognized is we have the best leaders in the state here, bar none. Principals are amazing, wonderful leadership at the district, and more importantly, an amazing Board of Education that supports what we do in our schools every day. And we are so thankful, and with that, we would like to thank you as well.
All right. The next item has to do with the general consent agenda. However, before we approve or take any action relative to that, I need to bring to you the removal of item number 29. Item 29. So as we approve the general consent agenda, it will be items 10 through 33 with the exception of item 29.
I'll make a recommendation to accept with noted change.
Second?
We have a motion and second to accept with the noted change. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Denton,
Yes.
Ms. Kelly.
Yes. The next item under Superintendent and Board of Education Communications, the presentation and discussion of the high school configuration updates. Ms. Shelley Holland Handy.
Good evening, President Kelly, Dr. Dunlop, and members of the board. Tonight, I'm going to go over some of the updates on the high school configuration study and bring you up to speed on kind of where we are in this process. We're getting close to the end. So, do you want to advance the slide for me, or do you want me to, or I can do it either way? Okay. All right. It takes teamwork to make the dream work, man, right? Okay. So as you recall, in this process, we did
several methods of getting community feedback from both our internal staff as well as the community at large. We had 3 public forums in October. We did a focus group with our high school and freshman academy staff, and then we also did a community survey that was that ran throughout most of the month in October. Okay, it's not really how to do that. And so, pardon us for, I'm sorry for the confusion. So in the public forums, we had about 55 to 75 community and staff members attend each meeting. And during those, a lot of the comments focused primarily on the academic impact of the different configurations, and there were several inquiries about the academy model. People wanted to know more information about how that would work. And we found that to be true throughout the rest of the research that we conducted. Next slide, thank you. Approximately 30 staff members from the high school and the freshman academy attended the focus group. Their consistent theme in that discussion was that there was a critical need for space, and that there was a lot of conversation about, how we would accommodate all of that. Then they also had quite a bit of conversation regarding the academy model and how would this benefit students, and how would we prevent students from being locked into particular pathways. That was a big concern of theirs. And again, we found that to be pretty consistent throughout the research that we conducted. During the community survey, we had about 2,500 responses. The actual survey consisted really only of 8 questions, with one of them having several different statements with which we asked members of the community to either agree or disagree, which provided some fantastic information because it was gleaned from that information that we originally got from the community forums. We wanted to dive a little deeper into those, to that feedback. What we found was that our largest group of respondents were our elementary school and pre-K parents, and which is great because those are the students that will be most impacted by the changes that we're going to see as a result of this study. And then we also saw that residents of 6 to 15 years in the community were also strongly represented. And that, I guess that you could probably draw from that those are the folks that are probably most likely to have school-age children. So again, a good representation from our parents. And then just going through a little bit of the data, again, 40% of our parents and guardians of elementary school and pre-K students were represented there, along with 28 and 27% of our middle school and high school students. So good representation from our parents. And then, again, you can see there kind of the representation of the different residents, with that 6 to 15 years being the strongest. And then as we get into the more topical questions about the actual configuration, we ask respondents to rate their level of concern regarding the size and projected growth of the high school. And more than 84% expressed that they were very concerned or concerned. So we are definitely headed in the right direction of addressing this issue at this time. Then we ask respondents to rank the following areas from most important to least important regarding what they would like to see in the high school of the future. We had 49% rank as number 1 high academic achievement, with 26% ranking number 1 smaller high school campuses. Now, what you're seeing on the screen is weighted data, so it demonstrates a little bit differently. But I did want to indicate that while the innovative academic programs was also a very strong preference for folks, that 26% did rank that smaller high school campus as a pretty predominant group. And then when looking at 1, 2, and 3, what people ranked 1, 2, and 3, 13 of 14 groups ranked those top 3, which is high academic achievement, innovative academic programs, and smaller high school campuses. So those were ranked either 1, 2, or 3 in 13 of the 14 demographic groups. And then as we look on to question 5, we ask respondents to give us their priorities if we had to phase in facilities. And this was
This is great information for our facility and operational folks because they'll be able to prioritize based on what folks are most desiring in a high school campus. Fully equipped science labs by far was the highest ranked response, followed by a full service cafeteria. And then if you look at, again, those top three, 61% rank those fully equipped science labs as a 1 or 2 choice, 44% ranked a full service cafeteria as a 1 or 2 choice, and then common areas large enough to accommodate the entire student body, 34% ranked that as a 1 or 2 choice. So that's interesting data for us to have. And then as we move forward, looking at those areas that are the most important in the areas of academic achievement, college and career readiness was by far the top choice, with 59% ranking that as 1 or 2. And then opportunities to earn college credit ranked second at 40%, as ranking that 1 or 2. So again, very interesting and good information. And what's great is that's what we're already focused on. So that's really wonderful. And then as we moved into question 7, that was the question where we provided several statements from the community forums to try to get a little bit more insight from the community at large. So the first statement asked, regardless of which configuration model we choose, we must somehow divide students into smaller groups so that they receive individual attention they need to reach their full potential. And resoundingly, 87% either agreed or strongly agreed with that statement. So that's something that we are focused on, and again, will give us great information as we move forward. The next statement, academies must be structured so that students are not locked into pathways for their entire high school career. And as I mentioned earlier, that was kind of a resounding theme through all of our research, and nearly 85% either agreed or strongly agreed with that particular statement. The next statement, students would have more opportunities to participate in extracurricular activities in a multiple high school configuration model. Nearly 69% agreed or strongly agreed with that statement, and 15% were not quite sure. They neither agreed or disagreed. And then moving forward, remaining one comprehensive high school provides students with limited opportunities for participation in extracurricular activities. 61% agreed or strongly agreed with that, with 13% being neutral. And then we ask about the grade center approach. Establishing a 10th grade center would create too many transitions from 9th through 12th grade. Responses were mixed on this particular question. 45% either agreed or strongly agreed, with 16% being fairly neutral. So there wasn't really a strong indicator either way on that particular one. And then the next statement, dividing into multiple high schools would cause an unhealthy rivalry among the schools. Again, very mixed, with nearly 49% disagreeing or strongly disagreeing that dividing the high school would create an unhealthy rivalry, and 16% were unsure. So people really didn't feel strongly one way or the other. And so that's, again, good information for us to have. An academy model would be beneficial because it would create smaller learning communities of students with similar interests. While 59% agreed or strongly agreed, 25% were unsure. And so this, coupled with other data that we've collected, tells us that we must further define the academy model and explain that to our community. It would be more beneficial for sophomores to attend a 10th grade center than to be integrated with other grade levels. Again, this one was also very mixed, with no strong indicator one way or the other. 38% strongly agreed or agreed with that, and 23% were uncertain. So really no strong indicator for the 10th grade center either way on that one. And then finally, dividing the current high school into multiple high schools would make our district less competitive. And 50% of respondents strongly disagreed or disagreed with this statement, with 20% being neutral. So again, just kind of in summarizing that, a lot of reinforcement from our comments at the forums, as well as the survey. We also had an open-ended question at the end where people could just provide some open comments to us. 721 people submitted comments, which is quite a bit. Approximately 400 of those related to specific opinions on grade configurations. 90% of those who have lived in the area 0 to 5 years indicated a desire for multiple high schools based on those open comments only. And 69% of the 6 to 15-year residents. So for those younger, presumably parents of younger children, that's what that indicates. And no specific trend on grade centers or academies except for a common theme of not locking students into pathways on the academy model. So currently the high school configuration study steering committee is evaluating all this data, and it's a lot of data. And they're coming through it. We will meet again on February 7th. And they are in the process of developing that preliminary roadmap, and we anticipate that being complete by March. In March, we have forums scheduled for community feedback on March 21st and 23rd, and we'll be providing additional information to the community about those locations and times. So we will present the preliminary roadmap. We'll gain more feedback, we'll make adjustments, and right now we are still on target to present that recommendation to the board at the May board meeting. Any questions?
Any questions or comments? Thank you for that report.
Okay.
The next item on the agenda, Ms. Shelley Holland-Handy, the next one on the One Voice. Go ahead.
Okay, so we are very fortunate to have a strong partnership with our local chamber and then our Tulsa Regional Chamber, and they do a lot to support workforce and education development. And so I have with me tonight Brett Campbell. He's the Senior Vice President of the Tulsa Regional Chamber for Education and Workforce, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about One Voice, which is the legislative agenda that the Tulsa Chamber, their focus for this legislative session. And we are bringing to you an item tonight to ask for the board's approval of this particular agenda item, so that they may carry with them the message that the school districts are in support of the individual items that impact education especially.
Thank you, President Kelly and Superintendent Dunlap, members of the board. I really can't say much more than that. That really kind of covers all of it. The One Voice process engages about 400 people from June until August, and it really provides the backstop for the regional chambers, the Tulsa Regional Chambers, the cities. Current endorsements have been before the Broken Arrow City and the Broken Arrow Chamber, all have been endorsed. But it really provides that backstop for us to then go and to talk to legislators and to advance educational issues of workforce development, issues of economic development. And so if you have not been able to review the 30 items, 15 of those items are for the state level, 15 of those items are the federal level. The process really engages small d democracy at its best. It really engages people at a very grassroots level, allowing them to come in and to vet the issues, talk about the issues. If you haven't participated in that, I really recommend it. I participated in that as a participant. I'm new to the chamber, but it really is about dialogue. It really is about formulating what is best for the region. And I'll just highlight, if I may, I'm not going to go through all 30 of the items, but I want to make sure that asking for your endorsement, you understand where we are with education. Obviously, you know, our number one issue is to have that backstop and provide that political momentum to address the shortage right now in teachers. Second would be to fully restore education funding, and then third would be to oppose school vouchers. And so again, it's a strong foundation. It will give us the opportunity to advance legislative opportunities, but then also to try to intervene in legislative action that might not support these as well as the other backstop issues through the One Voice. So I'd be open to any questions whatsoever.
I have one. You know, we've had these agendas for several years from the One Voice, and has some very strong educational items on there. What's our roadblock? What's keeping us from achieving the goals of our agenda? Our business leaders, especially in the Tulsa regional area, are very influential, very smart. people. It doesn't seem like we're getting much headway gained on our agenda items. I don't want it to just be an exercise that we have an agenda. Sure. At some point I would think we got to get really active or something and get some results to our agenda, because it doesn't seem like we're getting very far on the education items.
Absolutely.
So what's going to have to happen? What's it going to take for us to achieve these goals? Because they very much align with some of ours, probably personally, on the school board. So.
Absolutely. And I will just tell you a little bit about my background as a career educator, 28 years in higher education. I share a lot of the same frustration. I think absent the work with the one voice, it makes it more difficult to build that momentum. Those questions about how do we fund, how do we bring about more than just a raise, how do we adequately fund the needs of all students, those are big questions. So I would say we have to keep chipping away at it. We have to be in the same position. I know that Dr. Dunlap will certainly will find herself at some points talking to legislators, and again, having that backstop for us is the first step.
Thank you. I would entertain a motion.
Recommend approval.
Second.
We have a motion second to approve the endorsement of the 2017 One Voice Agenda. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson.
Yes.
Mr. Allen.
Yes.
Mr. Denton.
Yes.
Ms. Kelly.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is to approve the name of the new elementary school located at 3500 East Kenosha in Broken Arrow. And I would call up to the podium here, Ms. Green.
Good evening, Dr. Dunlop, Madam President, and members of the board. It's my pleasure to come and to kind of talk to you about the process from the naming committee. They had 2 meetings on November 28th and another one on December 14th. I was able to join them on the December one because that was after I had been named the principal. And it was just a really neat experience to see these 4 separate communities coming as one. It was kind of a glimpse into the future of our work, starting now, all of next year, and just start to see those relationships already being built. And just having those great conversations about what the identity is going to be of this new building. And so I was really excited to be able to be a part of it at that second meeting. We had great conversations. They're very passionate about the name. They want to get it just right. They really talked about the meaning behind it. And so I come to you today to present our top 4 choices. I know usually we do 3, but there was a tie for 3 and 4. So we decided to go ahead and bring you all 4. And like I said, it was a pretty passionate discussion, and if my memory serves me right, the difference between the top choice and the 4th choice is 3 votes. So it was there wasn't a true cut winner, but we all agreed that any of these names would be wonderful. We feel like they're great names and would be a great name for the new building. And so our top choice from the committee is Timber Ridge Elementary, followed by Hillside Grove Elementary, Freedom Hills Elementary, and Valley View Elementary. And you'll probably notice that most of them are kind of a signal to the surrounding, the beautiful setting that school is placed in. And so that's where those came from. And I think one of the first discussions was talking about we don't want another wood, spring, or creek. So those were all crossed off the list. So that should help us out future. We don't have any more of those. And one that's kind of different is Freedom Hills. And I want to take just a minute and let you know kind of the reasoning behind that one. The committee was talking about the last time we kind of started a brand new elementary that's not just a transplant that kind of created itself was Liberty. And so they felt like going that patriotic theme might be something that the district might want to look at. So I just wanted to bring those to you.
Could you share with the board about the theme of the school? I mean, has there been discussion about the theme?
Yes.
Okay.
I've been in the building once, and so Dr. Dunlop or anyone else, feel free to jump in. But they are going with that forest woodsy theme. Right when you first walk in, they're making a steel tree, and then the branches are going to go down the hallways, and that's how they're going to identify the different pods. Lots of our buildings right now are color coded, and they're using that same thing but with different types of trees, if I remember right.
So
Leaves. Mm-hmm.
just kind of following that in just having the discussion around
Sure.
the names, timber being the timber around it, I'm assuming.
Correct.
And ridge, because we have Timber Ridge, or is there-
Oneida Ridge.
Oh,
Mhm.
Oneida Ridge,
Mhm.
okay. So I wanted to get a little bit of concept there.
Sure.
On the Hillside Grove or Hillside, it's close to hillside drive, or what was
think-
the analogy there?
I think partly, but it is up on a hill. It's my understanding that it's the highest building, and then if I think they're talking about building a middle school, that would be lower down. So it's going to be the highest building on that little ridge or hill, and so that's where lots of those names are coming from.
Okay. Well, I think the committee's done a wonderful job in presenting these names. These are all great names. So certainly I'm open to any questions or open to entertaining a motion.
Make a motion to name the elementary Timber Ridge, as their number one choice was.
Second.
We have a motion and second to name the new elementary number 15, Timber Ridge Elementary. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Denton,
Yes.
Ms. Kelly.
Yes. Thank you. All right, the next item on the agenda has to do with the Long Range Planning Committee for the elementary schools and middle schools for the 2017-18 school year. Ms. Bergwall.
Good evening, President Kelly, Dr. Dunlop, members of the board. Well, now that we know we're going to have Timber Ridge Elementary, we need to fill the elementary school. As you recall, in December, we brought to you the proposed boundaries from the long-range planning in regards to elementary boundaries, middle school boundaries, and early childhood boundaries. In December, we did vote and approve the early childhood boundaries, and our group has moved forward with that. But we needed to have further discussion on the elementary boundaries. We had some concerned parents and patrons over their children being redistricted an additional time. They were moved in the 2013-14 redistricting. And we have done that. We have reached out to them and met with those patrons. Our instructional folks were involved, and we have committed to them that we will work with them. We're holding a couple of open houses, one at Rhodes and one at Sequoyah, to meet with those parents, meet with those principals, and help work them through the needs of their children. Of course, our instructional staff, like they always are, they're committed to make sure that our kids are in the best learning environment they can be in, and sometimes that means staying put in the school that they currently reside. However, we also realize that the boundary changes took place 3 years ago, and so and that they're going to continue to do so as we open our next elementary 3 years from now. We'll have this same problem. So, but it's a good problem to have because we're growing, and our patrons have supported us, and we're able to bring more classrooms online. So we are excited about that. But after meeting with them, we have explained and went through the logic behind the committee's recommendation and the reasoning for moving those sections into the different schools, and of course that is to achieve equity in our classroom numbers and our classroom counts and our ancillary services. And we are still bringing to you tonight the recommendation from the long-range planning as it stood the last time in December, and we ask for your approval of those boundaries tonight. And I can take any questions on specifics of those boundaries if you'd like.
Okay, Ms. Bergwall, what I heard you say is that we would be working with those parents in the subdivision that's impacted.
Yes, and there's more than just one subdivision.
Okay,
So of course,
thank
we're redistricting about 1,000 students across the district, and I can go over some of those changes here for you. I didn't bring my easel, so I apologize. But most of our change is, of course, this is the color that will depict the new school. Currently, most of these students attend Liberty, and we have a couple of sections that currently go to Creekwood that will be pulled into the new school, and a couple of sections that will be pulled from Rhodes into the new school, as well as then Highland Park kids that will be pulled into the new school that sits here. We have a change of this will become Rhodes boundaries, and they are currently at Oakcrest. That is the one that we had many patrons reach out to us from, and we have had further conversation with. And then we also have a quarter section up here that currently attends Country Lane, and they will be moved to Liberty. That will also affect their middle school, which would move them to Highland Park, staying with the true feeder system. Of course, the kids that are at Creekwood moving into the new school, that will affect their middle school, and that will become Rhodes, which is shown on this map. Not Rhodes, Sequoyah. So this will be your Sequoyah boundaries, which includes part of the new school, and part of the new school will also split and go to Highland Park. So a lot of your changes, if you attend Liberty now, if you go to Highland Park, if you attend the new school from those old Liberty boundaries, you'll still go to Highland Park. So there's very few changes at the middle school level,
but it will affect this quarter section and this section 518 and the section up here that was Creekwood going to Centennial. They will now go to Sequoyah, which will help our Country Lane Centennial campus with some of their overcrowding.
The one thing I wanted to make certain of, and I believe you've done a great job in reaching out and ensuring that we are receptive and listening to the parents that were impacted. We do have a plan. We're executing that plan. They're aware of the plan. And so I just wanted to make that very clear.
Yes.
And so I appreciate all of the work that you and the instructional department did to make that happen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve the recommendation of the Long Range Planning Committee, the proposed boundaries for the elementary schools and middle schools for the 2017-18 school year. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Denton,
Yes.
Ms. Kelly.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda has to do with the OSSBA Legislative Liaison position. So, Dr. Dunlop.
Yes, President Kelly. This is an action item to appoint a board member to serve as the OSSBA Legislative Liaison. Each year, every Oklahoma public school nominates a liaison to annually represent our district through the legislative discussion and negotiations. And our board will now discuss the selection of the 2017 OSSBA Legislative Session Board Liaison. With that, I will turn it over to President Kelly for discussion and action.
Just FYI, to make certain that we all are aware, I have served in the position. I've been very glad to do so, but certainly want to open it up for discussion and the recommendation of the board. But I would gladly serve in the position again if the board so chooses.
Ms. Kelly, aren't you a member of the OSSBA board?
Yes.
I mean, it would make kind of sense to keep you in that role while serving as a board member for OSSBA instead of having two board members.
And I know personally, at this time, I'm glad that you're able to represent us and be able to be on the board as well too. So I know personally it fits well with my schedule and some of the work commitments that I have as well too. So I'm a advocate for you remaining in that position.
Amen.
So
it would make sense to keep her
I would
on there
agree.
since she's already on the board. And you have that.
I would entertain a motion.
I recommend Cheryl Kelly as OSSBA Legislative Liaison for 2017 legislative session.
Second. We have a motion and second to name Cheryl Kelly as the OSSBA Legislative Liaison during the 2017 legislative session. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson,
Yes.
Mr. Majors, Mr. Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Denton,
yes.
Ms. Kelly.
Yes. The next item under Operations Services, Mr. Bob Tolomeo.
Good evening, President Kelly, Dr. Dunlop, members of the board. I'm here to do the construction update meeting, or presentation. I know I say this every time, but I'm actually getting really excited about some of these projects. We're really progressing. We have quite a few under construction. We have Sequoyah, Kirkland Activity Complex, the high school addition, New Elementary 15 or Timber Ridge, and then we have a couple under design, the Freshman Academy and the Performing Arts Center. The areas in blue at Sequoyah, that's areas we've completed and turned over to the school to date. This is a rendering of what the front or back entrance will look like. I know these are a little dark, but this is the cafeteria. This will be the new cafeteria, which will take over in March over spring break. This is the new orchestra room. Right now, they don't have an orchestra room, so this will be brand new space for them. Out at Kirkland, we are finally completed with demo. They just have to get some equipment off site, so I'm excited about that. We'll be bidding that project here in the next couple months and taking it to the board meeting in February or March.
Bob, do you want to speak to maybe a fire that we had there that maybe some people don't know about?
We did have a small fire. Someone broke in and they believe it was an accidental fire because there was a fire extinguisher and an attempt to put it out. We are still assessing the damage that was caused, and we're working with Miss Metavelis to work with our insurance providers and all of that fun logistical stuff.
Also, there we go, Mr. Tolmeo, I also wanted to say that I had the opportunity with Ms. Birdwall to tour Sequoyah and the new addition, and wow, it's crazy what you can do with additional space and remodeling. The transformation of that campus is phenomenal, and the new spaces. So I commend your department and the work you've done, because it is absolutely fantastic.
Well, thank you. We appreciate it. It's definitely going to be the biggest transformation we've ever had in this district. At the high school, this is a floor plan. It's 11 classrooms. It'll be additional eating spaces, a large conference room that they can utilize. Currently, they have a really big need for a large conference room that can seat about 50 students. Currently, they walk all the way over to the multi-purpose facility, so that'll really help them with that. This is the old front doors of the field house currently, both this one being the south side and this one being the east side. And then this is going to be the tie-in point and the front entrance from the east side of the student union. Elementary 15, Timber Ridge. I didn't have enough time to get this PowerPoint updated. I apologize. This is a rendering of what it will look like in the future, and this is where we are at now. All that yellow is waterproofing. It's not going to be the final color, so. We have brick going on the back side. This is the gym, and this is some classroom pod areas. And then these are the wonderful trees. You can really see them taking shape right there in the right picture. We'll have a bench that goes around them. It'll be a pretty nice environment, pretty welcoming for those students. In this bottom picture, you can see those petals. We're calling them petals or leaves that go through the whole school. You know, you'll follow the orange ones to get to the orange pod. You'll follow the green ones to get to the green pod. And then these are some reading nooks. The contractor and architect were having a little bit of fun seeing if they could actually fit in the reading nooks. They tried to get me in. They said I was the shortest one, so I would fit a lot better. I said I had to take the picture. And then this is a video. I try to include this one on. This is sort of coming up that access road off of Kenosha. You can see those west pods. This is the east pods. You can see a kind of glimpse of that front entry. You can see the gym. That high space is the gymnasium. That'll be our safe room. It'll be a full FEMA safe room. And then here's the front entry in the media center. We'll have lots of glass and glazing. We're complete with all the roofing. We're dried in. We have studs going up in the west side. We have drywall going in through the cafeteria. The admin's drywall is complete. We have drywall going up in the east pods. We have plumbing going in everywhere else, electrical going in everywhere else. We are progressing really, really nicely and rapidly out at this site. Do you guys have any questions?
Is it on schedule, behind schedule, ahead of schedule?
We're on schedule. We might be a little bit ahead of schedule, but with the winter months, it's going to really tell us here next few months coming up.
Okay. There are no other questions.
Knock on wood.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, guys.
All right, the next item on the agenda has to do with Mr. Tolomeo as well.
Yep, it does. This is remaining classroom furniture for elementary 15. If you recall, in December, we approved the Scholarcraft furniture in order to avoid a price increase. So this is the remaining furniture.
I would entertain a motion.
Recommend approval.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the purchase of student furniture for new elementary 15, which is Timber Ridge, Phase 1, 2015 bond projects, August 2017 final sequencing from Thompson Educational Furnishing. The total cost to the district is $156,407, and it will be paid from the bond funds trust account. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. Next item.
Next item is the office and teacher furniture for Timber Ridge Elementary School.
All right. I would entertain a motion there.
Recommend approval.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the purchase of teacher and office furniture for Timber Ridge, School Number 15, Phase 1, 2015 bond projects, August 2017 final sequencing plan from L&M Office Furniture. The total cost to the district is $97,022.10, and it will be paid from the bond trust, the bond funds trust account. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. Next item.
This is the furniture for the final phase of the Sequoyah Middle School renovations. It's the classroom furniture. Again, in December, we went to the board for the one we expected the pricing increase.
I'd entertain a motion there too.
Recommend approval.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the purchase of student furniture for Sequoyah Middle School renovations and additions, Phase 1, 2015 bond projects, August 2017 final sequencing from Thompson Educational Furnishings. The total cost to the district is $135,138 and will be paid from the bond funds trust account. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. Next item.
This is the teacher and office furniture for the final phase of Sequoyah Middle School.
I would entertain a motion.
Recommend approval.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the purchase of teacher and office furniture for Sequoyah Middle School renovations and additions, Phase 1, 2015 bond projects, August 2017 final sequencing plan from L&M Office Furniture. The total cost to the district is $30,747, and it will be paid from the bond funds trust account. Please call the roll.
Hang on just a second, I'm sorry. Went to the wrong one. Sorry. Was Allen and Denton? Was it Allen and Denton? Okay. Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. Thank you. The next item, Mr. Grant Moore.
Good evening. I'm seeking your approval for the bid by Verta Vista Resources to furnish lawn maintenance services to Broken Arrow Public Schools with a total cost of $384,330, which will be paid through building funds. Bids were opened on January 5th. We received 3. The bid price is eligible for yearly renewal for 3 more times. It was a slight increase of $25,455. That's because we added elementary 15 or Timber Ridge, and we also added some other services, some different sprayings and flower beds.
Okay. If there are no questions, I'd entertain a motion.
Glad we didn't get the one bid.
Yeah.
Thank you. Recommend approval.
We have a motion and second to approve the bid submitted by Verta Vista Resources to furnish lawn maintenance services for Broken Arrow Public Schools. The total cost of the district is $384,330 and will be paid from the building fund. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. Mr. Moore, I did have a question
Yes,
since
ma'am.
we've now approved this, but we've been with, or they have been doing the lawn maintenance for several years for Broken Arrow Public Schools. I would like to say that they do an outstanding job, and I am just very pleased that their bid came within the low, and we approved it. So I do think they do a great job.
Yeah,
Thank
we do
you.
too. We were very happy that they were the winners.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Agreed.
The next item on the agenda is Mr. Blackburn.
Yes, President Kelly, Dr. or Dr. Bergwall, excuse me, Dr. Dunlop. I'm going to get there eventually. You know, I was even wondering if I was going to do that.
You've been worried about it all night. And
Yeah, but I tell you, that's just the way it goes sometimes. So, with that, I bring to you tonight for your approval or disapproval now, the quote submitted by Bridgepoint Electric Incorporated to provide electrical installation for proposed transportation fuel tank project in the amount of $49,568. I believe you'll notice that I went out to quote and I got the $49,568 first, and since we were so close to $50,000, I went ahead and called a few other companies to see what they would quote us as well. I believe you have those copies. So with that being said, any questions?
I do appreciate the levity. Okay, if there are no questions, I'd entertain a motion.
make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the quote submitted by Bridgepoint Electric, Inc. to provide electrical installation for the proposed transportation fuel tank project. Total cost to the district is $49,568 and will be paid from the bond funds. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. Next item is Ms. Bergwall.
All right, thank you. I'd like to ask for your approval tonight to select Flintco Construction Solutions for our PAC project. Ms. Brittany Driscoll's in the back there, I believe, and Flintco has continued to be a good partner with us. They participate locally in our chamber, and they are also the construction managers that built this building originally. So as we finish that final project of our 2009 bond issue and add the addition and practice rooms to this facility and make some minor renovations that are needed, we ask that you approve them to be our construction manager.
If there are no questions, I'd entertain a motion.
Recommend approval.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the execution of a contract between Broken Arrow Public Schools and Flintco Construction Solutions for construction management services related to the budgeting, bidding, and construction of the Performing Arts Center project, and authorize the Chief Operating Officer to negotiate the terms of the contracts. The total cost of the district will be paid from the 2009 bond funds. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Our next one is I'm asking for your approval of the rejection of a bid. When we brought the GMP for the Fieldhouse addition at the high school, the Fieldhouse classroom addition at the high school, we included Colson Electric as the electrical contractor. They are unable to execute their contract, and we are collecting their bid bond, and at this time we need to reject their bid so that we can rebid that portion of the work and bring that new electrical contractor back to you for approval.
Okay. If there are no questions, I'd entertain a motion.
Make a motion to reject the bid.
Second.
We have a motion and second to reject the bid received for the high school Fieldhouse classroom addition project. Electrical complete package from Colson Electric in the amount of $506,126. There is no cost to the district. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. Next item.
This next item also is for the high school Fieldhouse classroom addition, and we have had a contractor go through a legal name change from, I think, OCO Metals LLC to OCO Metal Fabricators LLC, and we need you to approve that name change.
Recommend approval.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the name change. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Thank you.
Next item, Dr. Dale.
Dr. Dunlop, President Kelly, members of the board, I bring to you tonight a discussion motion and vote on a motion to approve or disapprove a request from the band department to declare as surplus the go-kart props from their 2016 show and to approve their sale.
If there are no questions, I'd entertain a motion.
Recommend approval.
Second.
A motion and second to approve the request by the band department to declare as surplus go-kart props and to approve their sale. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. The next item under business services, Ms. Natalie Ena.
Good evening.
We are about halfway through the fiscal year, and really a lot of the updates have just happened within the last few weeks. So I'd like to go ahead and update the board, even though this is technically December data. First of all, addressing our midterm adjustment for the district, that was released shortly after we got back from the holiday, and from our projections, it looked like the district was going to be up about $391,000. That joy was relatively short-lived, however, because a few days after that, the state came out and believed to be in another revenue shortfall of approximately $38 million. So we were set to receive our payment that week on Thursday. And as it turned out, that the state was in a cash management shortfall, and our January payment was reduced by about $444,000 from what we had been receiving year to date. So that was quite a hit, and to be honest, the revenue shortfall is probably going to continue. So at this point, it's just a matter of whether the state continues to reduce our monthly payment or redo our midterm allocation and adjust some of the funding factors. Of course, there's always an opportunity for the legislature to vote on a supplemental, but we have not really received any positive confirmation of that possibility. So that's where we are with our midterm allocation at this point. The other big thing that happens for us in January is the collection of our ad valorem payments from Tulsa and Wagner counties. So you'll see that reflected in next month's presentation. But we were up in collections in Tulsa County of about $900,000. Wagner County came in a little bit lower than what we were expecting, but that could really be a timing issue. Technically, we have until March 31st to make our final payments, and with a lot of industries and companies residing in Wagner County, they could be choosing to kind of hold off and wait to make those final payments until the deadline. So we'll be monitoring that and keeping that in mind. I'm hoping right now it is a timing issue, but we'll see how those payments continue to come in. The only other point of emphasis for general fund is in our state sources. I'll continue to remind the board that our big cut in state sources was textbooks of about $893,000, not receiving any ACE or ACE technology funding, and a greatly reduced professional development allocation. Building fund, ad valorem is really the main source driving this fund, and receiving our payments in Tulsa and Wagner County will really carry us over into this time next year to continue operations in building fund. Child nutrition is tracking along very well. We're actually up in our federal sources because of increased participation and getting to claim more kiddos, and so that's good news for us that they're a very self-sustaining fund and able to cover all of their employee costs, benefits, supplies and materials. General fund expenditures, the thing you'll want to notice is while the board did approve a one-time stipend in December, we are still below right now where we are in salaries and benefits due to some of the decisions that we made last spring as part of the budget reduction plan. Building fund, everything is pretty much on track. We did decide to shift some salaries to building fund as allowable to alleviate some pressure off general fund. And child nutrition, really everything is really on track with child nutrition. The good thing is the supplies and materials were food, and some of their expendable items are purchased is on track, and we haven't seen a great fluctuation in commodity and food pricing so far. And we are still projecting around a $13 million fund balance, but stay tuned for that as we continue to get information from our state and legislatures on
what they'll be doing to cover the shortfall.
Ms. Zenith, I do want to compliment the financial staff for looking at ways that we can move some expenditures into the building fund and free up dollars in the general fund. I think that's very, very important, and I think it's wise, and I think we continue to do that, and it's very helpful. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Ms. Zenith, do you know of, I mean, is there any way for you to project maybe what any additional cuts would be? Or is it just kind of hurry up and wait and see what they give us?
Unfortunately, it's kind of the hurry up and wait game. I was, before the announcement of the revenue shortfall, the funding factor had increased by about 60 cents. And that, coupled with our October 1 count, really is what gave us an extra boost. But if the revenue shortfall continues, they're going to have to unfortunately look at adjusting the factors in the formula.
You know, it's kind of the same old story, because when I was speaking to the gentleman from the regional chamber, they said we get behind these agendas, but yet every year we keep coming in and we got cut after cut after cut after cut. We keep supporting these agendas and there's zero action being taken and zero help being given to our district. I mean, at some point we need action, and that's, I'm beating up a dead horse here, but I'm just kind of venting at you, Natalie. So,
I mean,
it's frustrating, and I'm sure you're frustrated in the seat that you sit in as well. So,
well, it's unfortunate, and our legislators are going to have to step up to the plate for us and go to bat for us.
We'll continue to work on that. Yeah. All right, thank you, and move on to the next item.
My next item is to ask the board to set a special board meeting date for our next bond sale. This is the remaining portion of our 2009 annual allocations. Just as a reminder, we typically set these meetings at noon, so to have the market open for people to bid on our bonds. And this year we'll be selling $23.5 million from the 2009 issue. The two dates given to us by our financial advisor are Thursday, February 16th, or Thursday, February 23rd.
16th.
Unfortunately, the week of the 16th, I will be traveling that entire week. So if we can back it up to
23rd.
the 23rd, that would be better for me to be able to attend.
Okay.
But if we have,
for me as well.
23rd works for me.
Say at noon.
Noon, yes. Sure. Okay. 23rd, I'd entertain a motion.
make a motion that we set February 23rd for the bond sale meeting.
Second.
Okay. I was just looking at my calendar. I apologize. So I need to go to that. The motion and second is to accept February 23rd, 2017 as the date of the general obligation combined purpose bond sale, $23,500,000. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is Ms. Donna Dollahan.
I know that's a mouthful. So.
Yes, it is.
Good evening, President Kelly, members of the board, Dr. Dunlop. I'm here to give you the Treasurer's report as of the end of December. Our cash balances report shows a total of $24,006,000 in assets for the district. Included in this figure are investments that total $15,690,000. Our fund security and deposit report shows a total of $38,937,000 in collateral pledged to the district. The deposits that require collateral are $20,329,000, leaving an available balance in collateral of $18,609,000.
Are there any questions? It's a report only, so move to the next item.
Going on to the activity funds, at the end of December, receipts total $4,321,000. Disbursements total $3,331,000, leaving an ending cash balance in the activity funds of $3,323,000.
Are there any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item, Ms. Kathy Metavallis.
Good evening. The first item tonight is the change order report. I would ask your approval tonight of change orders reflecting a decrease of $93,562.26.
Okay, are there questions on these?
Recommend approval.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the change order reports for all funds for the 2016-17 fiscal year. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. Next item.
Next item are the encumbrance reports across all funds running from December 8th through January 12th, and these encumbrance orders total $1,133,207.94.
Are there questions?
Recommend approval.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the encumbrance reports for all funds for the 2016-17 fiscal year. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item is new business. Seeing that we have none, we'll move to the next item, which is to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and second to adjourn. Please call the roll.
Dr. Williamson?
Yes.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Denton?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly?
Yes. Thank you.